So I have this 78 Yamaha DT400 that I'm trying to finish, and I'm almost done with it, and it's to the point to where I'm just doing cosmetics and wiring now. So I'm excited that it's going to be on the road here within the next 2 months. Anyways, I want to make a quick video on DC Plastics. It's definitely a company that I've known about for quite a while. They make a variety of different plastic parts. This is the first time I officially ordered from them, and it wasn't really like cheap by any stretch. It was like $87 for this reproduction Fender to be shipped to me, and I'm not real happy with it. So let's just go over it real quick. I don't like to make videos complaining about stuff, but this might save someone else out there some time and money. This original Fender here is obviously got fading, you know. This is misshapen from the exhaust, the heat of the exhaust. But I've already dremeled out some of the problems. I should have probably. I actually think I do have a picture somewhere of it, but these top holes where the fender liner bolts in, they were off. I mean, I fixed them, I think, pretty good right about now with the Dremel, but this hole was about a quarter of an inch to an inch too far that way, and then this hole was too far that way. So when you looked at it, even in any kind of a straight line was not happening. I mean, it was very, very sloppy. We're talking between a quarter and a half inch from center to center. So I dremeled it out. I'm trying to get it to fit the inner fender liner. And then today, I find out that the side holes are also drilled off, like even worse than the top holes. Before I get into all that, I also want to point out, check out this stuff. Compared to the stock size, which is like double. I mean, I can't use the same grommets. I don't even know if I'm going to have to Dremel that out even more now. Why wouldn't they make that bigger? Look at how big it's supposed to be to fit on there correctly. Now what really is starting to get under my skin are these side holes. This original. Alright. Side hole right here is centered in between this lip right there and then the top of this bend, give or take a millimeter or something. It's right in between where this bend is and the top of this contour. And then there's this hole for the turn signals. Both sides, obviously from the factory, are in the right position. That is what it is supposed to look like. Now this DC Plastics thing, way, way, way too high. Look at, only on this side, by the way. Look at how high it is. In fact, the mounting hole in the fender liner that goes into the frame lines up like where the middle is supposed to be, lines up like where my finger is at. Right about there. It is like a ½ inch too high. And they didn't drill out the hole for the turn signals. I guess that's not that big a deal. Some people don't want to have turn signals, whatever. So look at that positioning compared to the other side. This one is spot on. This side's spot on. I'm really upset about this because this was expensive, and if I just say to hell with it, I'm going to put this fender on and, just whatever, it's going to be a ½ inch higher on one side than it is on the other side. And then the tail light's got to be crooked, and the license plate's got to be crooked. The whole thing will look like amateur hour. I colored this in with a Sharpie to kind of emphasize what direction the hole needed to be drilled in. And if we're really talking about this fender, it's not glossy, it's like semi-gloss. I mean, that's like the least of my concerns right now, but the rest of the plastic on this bike is gloss, like a high gloss. This is not. The other thing I wanted to say is I posted a picture or two to Facebook, to the DC Plastics page, saying I'm having these troubles. They didn't message me. They didn't respond to it. They deleted my whole post. They don't want to hear about it. I spent my $87 or whatever, and too bad, so sad if I don't like it. So DC Plastics was a huge disappointment this time around, and they don't want to hear about the criticism, obviously. So I'm just stuck dealing with this on my own, and that's what's going to happen. I'm going to have to Dremel out this thing like a ½ inch. I mean, it's a ½ inch off. This is the stock OEM mounting hardware. Oops. Look at how high it sits. It's supposed to be in the middle. I mean, this is really, really sloppy for them to send me something of this low quality. It would have been better off if they just sent me this fender with no holes drilled in it, and I would have done it perfectly. I wouldn't even mind buying my own bit to do this perfectly. But they send this thing to me with these holes drilled all crazy, and now nothing's lining up. I regret buying this fender from DC Plastics, and if you're in the market, I would advise against it. Try to find some OEM stuff if possible. Or, I don't know if you can specially request that they send it to you without holes drilled, but that was like the major problem. I mean, these holes are so sloppy. I did, like I mentioned already, I did Dremel these things out to try to even them out. But I mean, these were so crooked. I mean, when you first got this thing, it was like on an angle. They were drilled so sloppy. And the sides are sloppy. The mounting holes over here are sloppy. It doesn't have the little, this is for the cables, or I should say the wiring, not the cables. Doesn't even have those things. I'm disappointed with this. It's been like I didn't expect for it to show up and then me need to modify the crap out of it for it to work. But that's exactly what's happened. And very unlikely I'll deal with DC Plastics ever again. It's like nice in theory that they're making products for these vintage bikes, but if they're going to send them out at a premium price, drilled sloppy as hell, then they should really just send them out either with no drill holes, or they should charge less. I mean, I don't know what else to say. This is like hours trying to undo their mess. And when I fit this fender on, the new one, onto the bike, it doesn't line up. I gotta modify like almost every single hole, every single mounting point needs to be modified. So big disappointment. I wasn't thrilled that they didn't take the time to do it right. I mean, that's the bottom line. So they do not have my endorsement.